Hey everyone, it's Tim Holtz and I'm here at Sizzix headquarters, and I want to share with you some great techniques and tips on how to use the Sizzix side orders and really show you the creative convenience at its finest. Now of course, the side orders are everything you need to create really small, cool projects, whether you're making cards, invitations, or anything for a planner. And there's a variety of different styles of side orders. You can see we have everything from birthday theme if you're going to create party invitations or tags, things for the people you love for Valentine's Day or anyone for adoration. Of course, we've got some really great springtime ones, whether it's a little rabbit or chick or even the butterflies. Then something patriotic, whether you want to make flags or pennants or anything for 4th of July, or really anything that's patriotic, which is a great set. And then of course, summertime. Who doesn't love the beach, the sand, and the surf with the palm tree, the sun, and the flip-flops? And then of course, for the adventures, we have the travel set with the airplane and the globe and the little suitcase of Elise. And of course, all of these have words and coordinating texture fades to go with them. And I just want to share how simple it is to put them together, all right? So for the side orders, I'm just going to take my first one. This of course is just the birthday one. And I'll take this out, and I have my dies just to share with you that it does come with, of course, a word die, 3 different icon dies, and of course our texture fade. Now I'm going to die cut with this, so what I want to do to kind of prep my materials is really use the Sidekick adhesive sheets. Now I really like this. This whole side order of adhesives for our Sidekick are already cut to work with the Sidekick. And all you do is take your piece of cardstock, cut that to the size of your adhesive sheets, turn that over, so I'm going to put the color side down, and then I'm just going to take my adhesive sheets, and you'll see here there's a tab that says peel here. Well, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to peel this back, and that is going to expose the adhesive. This is all double stick adhesive, and I just want to place this down on the back of the paper. Now this is how I like to use my adhesive sheets. I like to just prep the entire piece of paper, and then I can chop it as I need it. So you might have a different way to do it, but I prefer just to cover the entire piece of paper with that adhesive sheet. And now we're ready to go. Now when we're going to use this, I want to leave the backing paper on all of my sheets that I have, and you can see here that I've already prepped all these. So this is very slick, very important to leave that backing paper on, and we're ready to cut. Now I've also pre-cut a piece of paper to emboss as well, because we're going to use the Sidekick and you're going to see just how easy it is to use it. So I'm going to take my Sidekick and I'm going to place this on the media mat. I just want this on a slick surface because this lever, of course, is going to secure that machine to the surface as long as it is a smooth, slick surface, and the tonic media mat is perfect for that. All right. So we're going to need a few things. We're going to need our cutting pads. Now these of course come with the Sidekick, and we're also going to need that embossing pad because we're going to do some embossing. I'll start with embossing. I'm just going to take my piece of paper, going to place it into that folder. Now of course this is already cut to size, but you can do something smaller if you wanted to add texture. And all we're going to do is take one of those cutting pads and one of the embossing pads. All right? It doesn't really matter which is on top, which is on bottom. I just prefer always to have the cutting pad on the bottom just because it's habit for me. And I'm going to place it into the Sidekick. Now when I place this in, you're going to see that that handle is going to move towards me. So that's really why I want to engage that into the machine. It's also important to know that whenever you go to place that material into the sandwich, that you try to place it into the center of that cutting pad. You don't want something right at the end of it because the machine is not going to want to take that. And the same goes with the dies, and I'll remind you of that. So we're just going to place that in. That's going to tell the handle, of course, it's going to go towards me. And I'm just going to go in and turn that. Now, of course, you can rest your hand on the top, but because we're on a slick surface, that's going to make sure the machine is secure. Take that off and take a look at that. Oh my gosh, you gotta love Sizzix texture fades, right? Look at that great embossed texture from one pass. So easy. And you saw how smooth it was and how easy it was just to go right through the Sidekick. All right, so now that I have that, we're going to do some cutting. Now, as I mentioned, I already have my adhesive sheets on the back of these, and I'm going to cut out a balloon, and I'm going to cut out the word wish. And here's how I like to use my cardstock with the adhesive sheets. Now I'm going to place my die over that piece of paper. So now I know how much paper I'm going to need to cut that out. And I'm just going to go in with a pair of scissors, and this is going to allow me to cut that just a little bit larger than the die. I just chop that out, and this way my adhesive sheet is ready to go on that. All right? So I'm going to place this face down on the front of the paper that I want to cut, and we're going to use our cutting pads. Now these are a fresh pair of cutting pads. You can see these are both very smooth. I've got it right in the center there, and we're going to run this through. Now of course when we run this through, I want to show you exactly how that's going to work when we cut that. Of course, our cutting pad is designed to be cut in. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up. I'm going to do my best to angle that, but you can see that as you use your cutting pads, that's what they're designed to do. It's going to cut into that cutting pad, and as you use it over and over and over again, you can flip these over, you can interchange these. These are designed to be cut into, so don't be worried if you take your first pass of your pristine cutting pads and they start to cut up. That's what they're designed to do. But now I've got this all cut out, all right? And my paper, I can even use that as a nice negative frame. This would be great that I can just peel and stick this on a card. So always save your scraps, especially when you use adhesive sheets, because you can get the most out of both the positive and the negative of a shape. So now we're just going to take this out of the die, and it's really easy because I'm going to take my side order of tools. I love these because it's just a mini set of tools. Everything you need. We have our die pick, and that's going to allow us to actually pick this out of the die. There are little poke holes here that we can just take the die pick, and you can poke that in, and that's going to release the material from the die. That's going to take our cardstock. And you can see that once it starts, I can take my die pick and just lift that up, and look how easy that falls out. Now, the best part, of course, this is already adhesive back, so you don't have to worry about getting liquid glue and following those skinny lines. We're going to peel and stick this in a minute. Now, of course, if you had any leftover pieces in your die, if for whatever reason you had some cardstock or anything embedded in there, that's really what this brush is for. You can place this down onto that foam, and you can roll through this, and those bristles actually go through the poke hole. So that's another way to release the material onto this foam pad. Either way, whatever you prefer. We're going to continue doing some cutting. Now I'm going to cut this in 2 colors. I'm just going to make my cut for this first one. And same thing, going to take my die. And you can see why it's so easy if you just already have your adhesive sheets put on your cardstock. You don't have to do this every single time. I've got that cardstock ready to go for another project. And we're going to cut these. Now again, we're going to cut these one at a time. Just going to make our sandwich, taking our surface. Of course, it's going to be color side up. Our die is going to go face down on that. And we want to be somewhere in the center-ish of our cutting pads. Really important. Remember, we don't want our die right at the beginning, otherwise the Sidekick won't take it. So you'll know for that. We're just going to press that in. You can see the handle's coming towards me, and we're just going to run that through. So easy. Another great thing about the Sidekick is just the fact that it's a short pass. So even if you have one of those larger machines like a Big Shot or a Vagabond, that's what I always say about the Sidekick. It's creative convenience because you don't have to run a full-size cutting pad through your machine. So there we go. We're going to place this one down. Same thing, as long as it's in. And that's why I cut the paper just a little bit larger than the die, so I'm not worried if it just moves a little bit. I don't have to be bothered by using tape or anything like that when I'm doing my cutting. I'm ready to go. All right. And we're going to make our other cut. Okay, see? So easy. All right. So now that these are out, I'm just going to take all of these pieces out. So now we've got some pieces, and I'll just talk about some different ways that we can incorporate this and how we want to make some things. We can use this as just a background. We can sand this, we can ink this. We can also take our elements and we can just build on that. So let me take out these shapes and just show you that when you cut out of multiple layers of cardstock, so for example, I did this one out of this kind of antique cream or almost a beige color, and then I did this other set out of this teal color. What's nice, of course, is now I can just kind of mix and match, and I can take these pieces. This is also where I like to get that die pick out because I can go in and just peel off that adhesive sheet. I just like to just stick that right in between those layers, peel that back, and remember this is sticky, it's ready to go. So I just peel off that release paper, take the shape that I want to layer on top of, place it down, and stick that together. And I'll just like to pick that up, really position it, and just secure it. And we're going to go in, this is really why you love those adhesive sheets. You also love to have like a little magnifier. There we go. I'm going to peel off that release. Okay. Now this, of course, is the little highlight piece of the balloon. Let me bring in this card just to show you. See this little piece right here? That's really what we're adding. So of course you can put it on either side of the balloon if you want, but the fact that we already have that adhesive sheet really allows me just to go in, place that down. I like to use my die pick just to kind of stick that down and move that there. Look at that. How easy is that? So simple. And of course the balloon itself is ready to go, so I can just go on the back of this, take my die pick, and get that release paper off. There we go. Peel that off and stick it onto my card. And then of course your word, same thing, peel and stick. So I think once you start using adhesive sheets, not only with the Sidekick, but I'm sure you're going to find a lot of different dies that you're going to want to use this for. Oh my gosh, you're going to love it. There we go. I'm gonna peel that off and place that down, and see, I can overlap it if I want. I think I'm gonna do that actually. Overlap just the edge of that. All right, and just like that, peel and stick. So that's really the nice thing about working with this. Again, you can cut out any of your elements, use your adhesive sheets, and sometimes if I'm doing, let's say you're planning for a party or you need to make multiples of something, the great thing about using the Sidekick and the side orders is you can go in and do all of your cutting, cut all of your pieces, then you can go back and do all of your assembly. And that's what I want to share with you. If you're doing some other things, let's take a look at a lot of these little shakers, right? These are really fun because you can take your side orders and make all these great little shaker tags by incorporating the tag shape. Now remember, with your Sidekick, you already get that starter set, and there is our tag. But you can see that we've used the side orders in here, but we've created these windows. Remember, any of your smaller Thinlit dies, as long as they're going to fit onto the cutting pad of your Sidekick, you can use with your Sidekick. So here we've got different labels and tags. These make great windows, right? You can see here, all of these shapes are really done just by using the negative of any of those other dies. So the sky's the limit. When you're working with your side orders and your Sidekick, you can also incorporate some of your favorite smaller Sizzix dies.